Hey, my name is Jay, and I want to welcome you to the Financial UA General Service Office located here in Baltimore, Maryland. And today we're going to talk about earning power. So come on in and grab a seat, and let's get this meeting started. Let's talk about earning power. Now in Financial UA, the whole idea of being here is to recover around our ability to connect with and channel earning power in a way that's prosperous, abundant, and allows us to maximize our earning and our income, our savings and our wealth, and to do it in a way that has spiritual integrity, and it allows us to build healthy bridges between God, money, and spirituality. First, let's talk about power. We're going to put that right up here. Every 12-step fellowship has as its foundation the idea that people are disconnected from a power greater than themselves. And if they work the 12 steps, they can reconnect with that power and begin to channel that power in a way that allows them to get sober, abstinent, chaste, clean, or prosperous, or helps them to become positively visible and to step out of their cave. There's a lot of different ways that healing power can transform their life. So let's look at this power and how people show up in 12-step recovery, because this is really about a struggle to connect with and channel power. So the first thing we're going to look at is the 4 different types of power where a person shows up. What is their level of power? The first example is that people who sometimes come to 12-step programs experience a condition called power none. Let's put that right up here. Power none. And that means just what you think it means. It means they have no power at all. If they were a cell phone, their battery is on 0. They have run out of power. And what this looks like is the person who sleeps all the time. They lay in bed, they're very depressed, they pull the covers up over their head because they don't want to deal with the world. They just have no power. They have no hope, no energy, no enthusiasm for living, no sense of being driven to accomplish things or to look forward to a better tomorrow. They have tapped out and they are just done. They are finished. They have no sense of hope. We also might say that they are hopeless and desperate, and they just have nothing to look forward to. Sometimes they're on the brink of having very dark thoughts. And this is very normal for people, especially addicts or alcoholics, whose power has run down to 0. So they are power none. Sometimes what that looks like, one fellowship describes it as the kind of person who is like a wounded animal that is hiding inside of a cave, at the very back of the cave, defending and protecting themselves. They know they're so damaged and wounded that they can't possibly survive or function out in the real world. Power none. The next type of power we want to look at is the person who is powerless. And this is how many people experience their connection, or you might say their disconnection from power. A lot of people show up to 12-step programs because they are powerless. They have less than the power that they need in order to function out in the world. They may not be at 0, they may not be power none, but they certainly are powerless. You might think of that person, the battery is at 25%. It is really low. It's not quite at 0, but it's pretty close, but it's definitely not halfway, and it's definitely not at full charge. They are just making it. They have just enough energy to get out into the world, but most of the time they pull back because they also are quite wounded. Their loss of power, their lack of power, they can feel it all the time, and it makes them feel very small and vulnerable all the time. People like that are usually really afraid. They are out in the world, but they're like the walking wounded. They're constantly feeling terror and fear. They always feel anxious and apprehensive because they know they have little to no defense against the situations which might show up as a crisis in their life, or anything that might threaten them or overpower them. They know that they are vulnerable, weakened, but somehow they manage to keep going through their day. Sometimes it's like they're in a trance. And oftentimes people who are powerless use crutches, emotional crutches, relationship crutches, or chemical crutches, or behavior crutches, to try to keep themselves going by giving themselves temporary good feelings that help to anesthetize the pain of being alive and being present in this world. They try to keep themselves numb in order to get through one more day. It is really difficult. Those are people who are powerless, and they can never quite get the energy or get the leverage or the traction to make real, lasting, sustainable change in their life. Certainly not financial change. Oftentimes people who are powerless, they are working at under-earning jobs. Maybe they're earning minimum wage. Maybe they are what they call the working poor, where they keep showing up to work, but it's usually a very low-level job and they don't feel satisfied by it, and they're not getting paid very much, just enough to keep them alive, to keep them going from day to day, but they certainly have nothing left over, and they're barely just covering their survival needs, but really nothing more. If we were to look at the people who are power none, oftentimes those are people who have no job at all. Maybe they're unemployed. They're so depressed that they can't function in the world. They can't hold a job. They might be on disability of some type, and they really have no sense of direction or hope, much less having a positive, vibrant career or vision to look towards. People who are power none really are living at rock bottom. They're kind of like the financial under-earner who has hit absolute rock bottom. And the powerless person, they may not be quite at rock bottom, but all they need is one bad situation to come along, and then they lose that little bit of momentum that they have, and they can very easily just shut down. If they lose their low-paying job or their under-earning job, then very easily they could be unemployed and just become so depressed that they give up trying to do anything at all to help themselves. These are people who are powerless. They are the financial under-earner who definitely maybe can earn enough to cover most of what they need, but certainly none of what they want. And my gosh, they can't even imagine earning more than that to be able to put money into savings or to invest for their future. Now, let's talk about people who are power enough. So this is the third type of power. Again, we have power none, then we have powerless, then we have power enough. People who are power enough, they have enough power to not only keep themselves going from day to day, but usually they have something to look forward to. Maybe they can look forward to a week or a month ahead of time. They have more than just the bare minimum of energy, and they usually earn more than just the survival wage. They might earn enough to cover everything they need and some of the things they want. But what happens is they earn up to the line which marks whether you're living below the line in scarcity and deprivation, or if you're living above the line in prosperity and abundance. People who are power enough live right at the line. They're not necessarily below it, but they're not really above it either. They're right at the line. So people who are power enough, they have enough power to wake up every day, to get themselves going, to get through their day, to be productive, to do some things, some positive things, to take care of themselves, and to have a few things to look forward to. Yet they still struggle, and oftentimes they also are living paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes they're living just a little bit above or better than living paycheck to paycheck. but not by much. So power enough people, they're still not certain if they're a financial under-earner because they do seem to be making it. They do seem to be able to keep their life together. They have enough power to do that, but they often hit this wall that they can't get beyond doing good enough. They can never get to the level of prosperity and abundance. They never get to the level of having sufficient, prosperous, surplus energy and power or earning to really live a fully vibrant, energized life. They just can't seem to break through that glass ceiling, or whatever kind of ceiling. You might say it's a power ceiling, but they can never break through that ceiling to take it to the next level. The power enough person, if they were a cell phone, their energy charge is somewhere between 50 to 75%. So their battery is more than halfway full. They have enough power to last them for a good long time. They're not quite in the danger zone, but they're also not really operating at their highest level of potential either. But most of the time they say, well, I have enough power, I'm good enough, I can make do with that. Power enough people often struggle with whether or not they want to go to a 12-step program for their drinking, for their drug use, for their sexual acting out, or their financial under-earning. Because for them it seems like they are doing a good enough job keeping their life together. And it usually takes something significant that comes along that really hits them and knocks them below the line when suddenly they realize now they're powerless. They're no longer power enough. They have dropped down to being powerless. And maybe that begins a slow spiral downwards to eventually they become power none. They may be drinking or using or acting out, but they think they can keep it under control. And then they get caught. Maybe they get a drunk driving charge. Maybe they get caught with possession. Maybe they are caught by their spouse acting out. But somehow, usually, the fact that they keep this secret addiction, and usually it's private, but something happens where it becomes public, where it's brought into the light. And then they're exposed and they realize, oh my God, now people are calling me out on this behavior. And then they have to face this decision. Do they have enough power to stop their acting out behavior? If they do have enough power, then they will stop. Most of the time, if they're truly an addict or an alcoholic, they can stop for a while, but not for very long. Eventually, they go back to using, especially once the heat is off, once the consequences have passed them by. Then everybody starts looking the other way and the addict starts to go back to using. It's their special little secret because they're power enough. They have enough power, they can control it, they can manage it until the next time that it spirals out of control or somebody calls them out on their behavior. Usually, if they get called out by the judge or the police, then they're caught and they realize if they can't stop their behavior, they realize it's because they're powerless. They've given it their best try to stop or control their acting out, and then if they realize they don't have the power to stop completely, they realize they're powerless. That's usually the point that people have been beaten into submission or have experienced enough humility to say, you know what, I need some help. And usually they'll reach out to a trusted professional or maybe start going to a 12-step program or maybe even see a therapist or some kind of outside trained professional who will counsel them. The last type of power is called powerful, or you might say power surplus, but let's just say powerful. So again, let's review. There's power none, there's powerless, there's power enough, and then there is powerful. Powerful people are exactly that. They are powerful. They easily and abundantly channel their power, whether they channel higher power or their personal power. Maybe they have a lot of willpower. Whatever it is, whatever kind of power they have, it's working for them. And they can channel that power effectively and abundantly. And they can channel the power into any project they want, any business, any job, any hobby, any relationship, into developing themselves physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever they want to do, they have plenty of power. They've got more than what they need. They have enough to cover all their needs, some of their wants, and they still have power left over to have a surplus. Powerful people have the ability to channel their power into the lives of others because they have more than what they need. They have more than what they want. They have a surplus. They have an excess of power, and they can channel that power plentifully. So, usually what they'll do, one of two things. If they have more of a humanitarian nature, they will channel their power into helping other people. They will help to empower other people by sharing and channeling their own power into helping and empowering others. But if the person is more of a salesperson or business person, they will sell their surplus of power. And usually they'll go to businesses or companies or entrepreneurs that need more energy, they need more information and power, and they will sell their surplus of power to help energize and excite and move forward a small business, a larger corporation, or an entrepreneur. They'll help to energize them and give them the upward velocity to help them blast off and gaining more acceleration, gaining more altitude. And people like that, people who have a surplus of power, are very highly desired, because in this world it seems that there are a lot of people who are power none and powerless, and a lot of people who are power enough. All three of these types of people pay very close attention and very quickly notice people who are powerful. And oftentimes powerful people find that other people with less power try to connect to them, sometimes symbiotically, sometimes parasitically. Other people who are at a deficit of power try to connect to somebody who has more power, and they try to drain some of that power because, of course, everybody wants to feel complete. Everybody wants to feel as if their level of power is being replenished. And if you can't get it from your higher power, or you can't get it through other normal ways, then sometimes people will become a little bit more predatory, and they'll look for somebody who has more power and try to connect with them to draw power into themselves. This is a very common dilemma that sometimes happens in sponsorship, where new people in any recovery program try to make their sponsor, who they see as being powerful, they try to make their sponsor into their higher power, and they connect to their sponsor through a relationship, but they start trying to steal power from the sponsor instead of utilizing the relationship with a sponsor to connect with higher power and then drawing power from higher power. That way they're not stealing energy from any person, they're drawing energy from the source. But newcomers in program usually need to be taught how to do this, how to draw power from the source. The hope of every 12-step program is that when a newcomer comes in, if they're power none, powerless, or power enough, if they can work the 12 steps, they can connect with a power source greater than themselves that can channel that power, that can allow them to connect to that source, and they can draw as much power as they need to charge up their spiritual battery to 100%. Once their spiritual battery is fully charged, they are powerful. So that is the end goal of working any 12-step program, to become powerful, that we are very strongly connected to a higher power. We draw that power from the source. We have enough power to cover everything we need to do and some of the things we want to do, and we still have power left over to help other people, to do service, to invest in our families, our jobs, our career, our visions, our goals. We are powerful, and we live a life that is full of energy abundance, being able to feel the nearness of our Creator, feeling a sense of energetic and emotional well-being because we're powerful. Now, let's relate this to earning. So we just talked all about the dynamics of power. Let's relate this to earning, and guess what? If you understand how power works, then you will understand very easily how earning works, because it works exactly the same way. Let's go over that together. In financial UA, we have 4 types of earning. Let's look at them together. The first type of earning is earning none. For a person who is earning none, it means exactly what you think it means. They are not earning at all. They have zeroed out. Their earning battery is at 0%, and they're living a life of maybe living off of other people's money because they have none of their own. Next is earning less. These are financial under-earners who are earning less than what they need to cover all of their needs and some of their wants, and to still have earnings left over to put into savings or investing. They're not even earning at those higher levels. They are earning less. They are earning below the line. So their earning less puts them in a position where most of the time they can cover their needs, but certainly not their wants. I mean, just barely, if any at all. And they certainly don't have anything left over to put into savings or invest. People who are earning less usually have minimum wage paying jobs, or maybe they have income coming in from different sources, but it's very marginal, it's very low, it's not what they need, it's not sufficient to cover all of their spending or expenses. People who are earning less oftentimes try to supplement their income by having a side hustle, by stealing sometimes. Sometimes they'll steal supplies from work or from other places. People who are earning less often come to financial UA because they just don't know what to do. They can't really pay their bills. They can't take care of themselves. They struggle with deprivation and scarcity. They develop this pauper mindset of living as if they're poor all the time because they're living at the level of their income, which is diminished, therefore their lifestyle is diminished. And many times they develop or have already developed financial anorexia, trying to live in a smaller box because their income keeps getting smaller and smaller. Many financial under-earners who end up in Debtors Anonymous, they end up there because while they may not be a compulsive debtor, they certainly have debted their way into Debtors Anonymous, because if they don't earn enough to cover everything they need and some of the things they want, and to still have money left over to put into savings, well, they're constantly living at a level where their money just doesn't go far enough. And all it takes is one crisis or one bad situation that comes along and it completely destroys their financial situation. And then they have to make up for the difference by buying groceries on credit or buying gas for their car. And again, using credit cards really just to pay for the necessities because they don't have the income to cover the necessities. So therefore they start debting, and oftentimes they will debt their way into Debtors Anonymous. These are the people, they don't spend money on fur coats and popping bottles of champagne. They're just spending money, other people's money, by using credit. They're spending money just to survive. And they feel horrible about themselves because they know they are not self-sufficient. These are people who cannot, they are fundamentally incapable of living according to the seventh tradition, of being fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. They only wish they could live at that level. People who are earning less can't even do that. Therefore, financial UA is definitely for people who are earning none. Maybe they're unemployed, but definitely also for people who are earning less. Maybe people who are employed, but they just can't get their career or their job. They can't develop it. They can't develop their earning and their income. Many times it's because their work ethic is damaged. Many times it's because their value of themselves is damaged. And most of the time it's because they cannot channel enough earning power or enough power to be able to earn abundantly. Anyways, if they're earning challenged, it's usually because they're power challenged. If they're earning less, it's usually because they're powerless. Let's talk about people who are earning enough. Now, these people, they usually don't seek out financial UA because they're earning enough. They earn enough money to cover everything they need and some of the things they want. They are living at the line because their earning allows them to live at the line, and maybe, just maybe, they might be earning just a little bit above the line, enough to have something for savings, but usually not very much. All it takes is one emergency or one crisis, and suddenly they go from earning and living at the line to living below the line. All it takes is one crisis that they're not prepared to handle. They might be earning enough to go from paycheck to paycheck to cover all their bills and have maybe a little bit left over, but they don't really have the ability to get ahead of their bills. They don't really have enough left over to abundantly put into savings for a prudent reserve, an emergency reserve, or to have long-term savings, or even to start investing in things that create even more wealth. They're not at that stage. They're earning enough, and the fact that they're earning enough gives them a false sense of security that everything's okay, they're doing good, maybe they just need to wait for the next promotion or the next raise before it gets them above the line. But oftentimes, once they do get that raise or promotion and their income goes up, their lifestyle also goes up. That's called lifestyle inflation, where when they have more money coming in, they will spend more money. So really, they never get ahead of their bills because they let their bills get just as big as the amount of earning they have come into their life. People who are earning enough rarely come to a self-help program like Financial UA or Debtors Anonymous because they always feel like, I'm doing good enough, I can manage my situation, I don't really need to ask for help, I'm doing good enough. But it isn't until a situation comes along that knocks their feet out from underneath them and they realize that they really don't have enough after all. They might have been earning enough for a while, but it's not going to be sustainable and it's not going to be sufficient. And it seems that in today's world, people really need to have a level of earning that is vibrant and energetic, that is more than enough in order to thrive and prosper and live an abundant life. Our last category of earning is earning full. People who are earning full are usually powerful. Again, do you see the parallels? If you're earning none, it's probably because you're power none. If you're earning less, it's usually because you're powerless. If you're earning enough, usually you're power enough. And then the goal of any 12-step program is to help people become powerful, and the goal of Financial UA is to help you become earning full, where your earning battery is charged to 100%. You are earning at your maximum capacity. Your ability to channel earning energy is exciting, it's powerful, it's energized, it's vibrant. You earn everything you need to cover your needs and to cover most of your wants, and you still have earning energy and power left over to put into savings, an emergency reserve, a prudent reserve, retirement accounts, other types of savings, and you still have enough earning left over to invest. And you can even take that surplus earning, that extra income, and put it to work by investing in things that create more money for you, like purchasing an asset, or you could purchase an investment, or a combination of the two. And again, investments appreciate in value. Assets create more cash flow. People who are earning full have more money than they know what to do with, so they start to take that money and put it to work. So their money begins to work harder than they do. They might work pretty hard, but the goal eventually is to get their money to work even harder than they do. And usually people who are earning full have multiple streams of income, money that's coming in from a lot of different directions. active streams of income, passive streams of income, multiple streams. That way, if any one source of income dries up, they still have a dozen other ways to make money that are all still working and still flowing. People who are earning full are powerful. And when we come into financial UA, we work the 12 steps in order to go from power none or powerless all the way up to powerful. And then we start working the tools and techniques of financial UA to go from earning none or earning less to earning full. And when we're powerful by doing the steps and earning full by using the tools and the techniques, we have both power and earning. We put them both together, and that's earning power. Earning and power. So there it is, earning power, the complete breakdown of how all this stuff works. So if you found this interesting and you'd like to see more videos just like this, I would encourage you to give us a big thumbs up for service. Maybe even subscribe to the Financial UA channel if you haven't subscribed already. Now it's time for sharing. Who'd like to take a share? In the comments section below, please share your experience, strength, and hope around earning power. What is your level of earning? What is your level of power? How do you understand the way to put those two together and what works for you? Remember, when you take a share, other people get to learn from you, because in Financial UA, everybody's a student and everybody's a teacher. So please share your ideas in the comments section below. And if you have any suggestions about future videos you'd like to see us make, please put your suggestions in the comments section below. If you have any questions about this video or about the idea of earning power, please feel free to email us at financialua@gmail.com or check out our website at financialua.org. And of course, feel free to join us to attend any of our free meetings and workshops, because we'll hold space for you so you can come join us, and hopefully you can take a share and be a part of this healing process around earning, around recovery, and around prosperity. So I hope to see you at the meetings and workshops. Finally, I'd like to invite you to join me as together we can close with our prosperity prayer. Let's do that now. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, the wisdom to know the difference, and the prosperity to afford it. That was awesome. Hey, thanks so much for joining me on this video. I really appreciate you. You are awesome. So I want to encourage you to keep coming back, and I'll be talking with you soon. Have a great rest of your day.
God grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, wisdom to know the difference, and the prosperity